All right, in chapter 4 of the book Powernomics with Dr. Claud Anderson, he's discussing reclaiming our schools and making our schools a ground for making us more competitive. So, what he's saying is that our school system was never designed to make us independently competitive and empower us. It was designed to empower us individually to fit within the system, but not in a manner that would make us competitive as a collective. So, in this chapter, I'm going to go over some of the things that he's discussing in regards to what we can do and the steps that we can take in order to make our communities more competitive. So, what is competitiveness? So, it starts with the community survival, and that's the ability of a community to thrive together. So, he starts off with survival, but I really want to go on to thriving, right? We've been surviving for a very long time, and it's time that we move into that thriving mode to where we're all doing it together. And again, a big, theme throughout this entire book has been us thriving together. Individual success does not do enough for the entire community. Everybody's focused on generational wealth, but if you're focused on generational wealth in the sense of you doing enough for your grandchildren, you got to remember that your grandchildren are probably going to marry somebody from the community, and if somebody else if the rest of the community is not bringing their kids up to the standards that you are, your grandchildren aren't going to have a thriving person to find. So we have to raise the entire community, and that's how you make generational wealth last multiple generations, because their entire network and all of their friends are all at a higher level and are being trained at home how to compete on that level. Economic control, right? As I'm writing this, they was reading this and doing the videos. They've gotten rid of DEI, this whole campaign on anti-woke, and that is because we didn't have economic control. We were fighting and using politics to guarantee a seat at their table, instead of using that time since the 60s up until now to use the seats that we got at their table to start building our own tables, to the point to where when they actually cut the legs from underneath our chairs that were the seat of their table, we would have had a strong platform to fall back on, or had just left their tables altogether, or tables been equal. Either way, we have to be in control of our economic future with our institutions, from our schools, whether it's getting to the point where we're starting charter schools, as I said in a previous video, getting to the point where we're climbing the economic ladder to where we can even go towards private schools. Today I saw that they're getting ready. They got rid of PBS, and we're not getting rid of PBS, but they're reshaping PBS, and some of the videos that they're pumping out there are again where they get to control the narrative. There was a video where it was talking about Columbus in the cartoon, teaching kids about how slavery wasn't that bad, and we have to make sure that we're in control of the narrative, and we're able to shape what our kids know about our past and what they can envision for our future. So, most of the schools, for a long time, it was rote memory. Many schools are getting better with Bloom's taxonomy, but a lot of that is still occurring in other suburban schools. And in our schools, they're still focusing on, can we just get these kids to pass the test so our scores can go up as a school, and we won't get the F rating or not. But part of that rote memory comes from the fact that the kids aren't connecting it to anything. So it's not just rote memorization in the schools that are doing really well, it's that it's application of what is being learned, and they understand why they're learning and where this is going to take them. No, Pythagorean theorem doesn't make any sense to you if you're just told you're supposed to go to class and do math. But if you know engineers and have a bunch of engineers in your family, and your family's friends are engineers and everything, Pythagorean theorem makes sense, because now you're thinking to yourself, oh, I can go and become an engineer, where you'll actually use the Pythagorean theorem. But those things aren't being discussed in our home, so those aren't being connected to why these kids need to know what a squared plus b squared equals c squared is. they teach you to just follow instructions. So again, a lot of times it's not creative. The schools were created during the industrial age, but we're leaving the information age now and going into the idea and execution age with AI. And a lot of the schools are still focused on, can you follow the instructions? Can you do what you're told for 8 straight hours a day, instead of, I'm going to enlighten you with something, and now can you create something with the information that I've just given you? And again, just performing on standardized tests. So what it has to be connected with in every single class is how money works, how to start a business in each and every one of those classes. So if they're learning Pythagorean theorem, you need to know this Pythagorean theorem so you can become a mechanical engineer, and you might be able to use this knowledge to consult some of these large engineering companies with your own business and hire your own people, and you all work together. Property management, media influence is a big one. Again, when I was talking about those PragerU videos, we have to be in control of our media and get to the point to where we're controlling the media narrative around us. For the past 30 some odd years, that media narrative has been controlled by other people who were just hiring actors and hiring musicians and saying, here, put this kind of music out. We think your people are going to dance to this. And we've been dancing and jamming to our own self-genocide. They've literally gotten us music that convinces us how cool it is to kill our own people and make money doing it. We have to change that narrative, because there is no other culture that in America where you would be allowed to make music, and how about you were going to kill the people in your own neighborhood. They only allow that for us. Even I think it was Lecrae possibly posted a tweet a little while ago from when I wrote this video, that he had a video where he was talking about Israel and Palestine, and they told him that no, we can't play that because you can't talk about that kind of stuff. Yet the next song they played was all about us killing each other. So we can't talk about them killing, but we can talk about us killing each other. That's because we don't control our media influence, and they are allowed to control what we hear. And our children are growing up, and all they ever hear is kill black people and make money killing black people. We have to take over our stations and take over our stations and all of our entertainment and change the narrative of how we see ourselves, how our children and grandchildren will see themselves, and how the world sees us. Because right now, the world sees us through the gangster hip-hop lens. And I love hip-hop, but the world sees us as all gangsters. If you're a doctor, they still kind of seeing you as a gangster, and we have to take control of that narrative and make sure that we're changing that. And then from all of that, as I said in the previous video, economic power is how you get more political power. The political power is great. We get people in office. We're going to go out there. We're going to get out the vote. But once we get those people in office, they are beholden to the people that pay for their campaigns. So while we're building economic power and political power, we have to make sure that we're supporting our politicians economically. And we can also do that with, as I said before, the media influence. When we have economic power, media power, and political power, we are unbreakable. So we have to compete to build. So we're starting with entrepreneurship. And like I said before, every single class needs to be tied to business. No matter what they're learning, it needs to be tied to business. If you're in poetry class, it still needs to be tied to how you can sell your poems, how you can write. For other lyricists, Kendrick Lamar talked about how great a great of influence his poetry teacher was. So imagine if when you're learning, the kids that want to actually still go into music, go into art, go into music, be rappers and whatnot, when they're learning poetry in poetry class and all of those things they're learning, I'm not going to act like I'm an English teacher, but the double entendre, they're learning double entendres in class, and they're learning how to use them properly, and now they can use them in the rap that they create, but they're getting exposed to other ideas, and they're tying them all together. And then once they're thinking about the rap and stuff, we're tying that into other classes where it's about business. So you're not going to just learn poetry to become a rapper. You're going to learn poetry to become a better rapper, and become a better rapper so you can learn to build businesses, record companies, production companies, and every single thing else that is around the music industry, and not just being the face on stage. Land ownership. starting to own the lands in our communities. And again, from the previous video when I was talking about opportunity zones and how gentrification happens, we have to start educating our kids at a young age that that is what's going to happen. They are going to create these opportunity zones when they are ready to take over the communities they forced us into, and you get tax breaks for that. So we have to start teaching them that we are going to own the land in all of the communities that we live in, and start owning the strip malls and leasing those businesses out, and letting that leasing those spaces out to businesses and making money off of that. Owning the land and the apartment complexes that are being built, and being, real estate developers in general. Again, the civic power and the mind control, politics and media control, so we control the minds of our community, as well as control how the world is looking at us. So we're building from the inside out with community controlled schools. Start learning how to build charter schools. There are 95,000, I forgot what they call they're starter schools or smart schools, but they are schools that are in these like storefronts where you can get like 15 to 20 people in a school. So you can start charter schools on a smaller scale level and get funding from the government to keep it going, but we start to control that as charter schools. They are trying to dismantle public school funding. They're trying to switch to charter schools. As they start to make that switch, yes, we can keep fighting for our public schools, but while they're doing it, we have to also start making sure that we are building charter schools where we can control the education. And it's not just during Monday through Friday. We can have schools on Saturdays. Again, once you start having land ownership and real estate ownership, and I'm always going to tie it back to the church, these big business buildings that are nonprofits that are often run like a business have these facilities on Saturdays. We can start getting our kids in there on Saturdays while they can be around the church, be around church people again, as grandma wants them to. But now they're in the church and they're learning about how they're going to make the community better, and love all their neighbors as themselves, as they build up the community and build wealth into the community. Curriculum development. We have AI now. There's almost no reason anybody should not be able to learn anything. We got ChatGPT study mode now, where you can just ask it, you put it in study mode until you want to learn, and it'll start asking questions and create a whole curriculum for you. But outside of that, if you want to learn something and create a curriculum for a course, you can literally go on ChatGPT now and say, hey, I'd like to teach my child robotics over the next 36 weeks, which is a school year, and say, can you write me a 36-week curriculum for teaching a 5th grader robotics? ChatGPT will spit that out for you. It will tell you the resources you need to buy, everything. So there is no longer an excuse for what they are not teaching our kids, because we have the ability to teach our kids ourselves. Community co-ops, if you're not religious and not affiliated with the church, nonprofits, just the whole neighborhood coming together and saying, you know what, we are going to do this as an after school program with just us. Bring our kids together. It's almost like the, backyard barbecue. Find somebody's house. We're going to cook, have a good time, and we're going to start educating our own kids after school and make sure they are competitive. This is why, another reason that I found out, I think last year, why a lot of the Asian and Arabic kids are beating our kids in school. It's not that they're just simply smart. It's that they're getting more practice. After school, their kids are going out and they're going to Kumon. You can look it up. You see Kumon and you see these Sylvan Learning Centers, and I always thought that it was kids that were falling behind. No, Asians and Arabic immigrants are the ones that are keeping those schools in business, because when their kids get out of public school, their after school programs is to go to Kumon and learn everything that they were learning already in school and actually get ahead. So it looks like it just comes easy to them, but it's not coming easy to them. It's that they're getting exposed to it before our kids even get a chance to see it. And then internships. If we own more businesses in our community, our kids can start to learn work ethic, and learn entrepreneurship from actual business owners in the community by interning with those business owners that are in the community and are invested in our culture's success. So, education is a matter of survival and the ability to thrive. As gentrification comes in and aims to push us out and break us, we have to make sure our kids are educated on what's happening and how to thrive in that moment. So, he starts to go with the mind shift. So we're going to shift from individual escape. We're often talking about escaping the ghetto. Oh man, I did this. I got up out the hood. And that's fine if you get out, if you're continuing to reinvest. So, if the place that you grew up with doesn't seem safe right now and you want to raise your kids in a different environment, that's okay. We're not knocking anybody for doing that. I don't live in a rundown neighborhood. But what we can do once we are out of the hood is reinvest into the hood so that it's no longer the hood and it becomes an actual strong black neighborhood. And we're not referring to everywhere that black people stay as the hood or the ghetto or the trap. We start building thriving communities that are comprised of a whole bunch of us. And we have in these communities that are worth fighting for, that we want our communities to be great communities that other people wish that they could live in. Like we always say, they love our culture, they hate our skin. They also hate our poverty. So they love to do the things that we do. They just want to do it in a rich and safe environment. We are going to create that for ourselves. So they're going to love everything about us, and we don't care whether they do or not. We're just going to be that amazing. And like I said, we're going to get rid of that get out mentality, which means leaving. It just, for us, it needs to start meaning, you know what? I got out of a bad situation so I can get myself together and come back and help everybody else fix the community that we are living in. So the cost of doing nothing is that we're going to continue to have disconnected schools where education is disconnected from the real world and disconnected to the problems that they see each and every day. Unprepared graduates that are just kind of going through the motions, doing whatever the teacher is asking them to do. And then at the end of the degree, the diploma, they get their high school diploma, and you ask them even on stage, like, what do you plan to do in August? And they're saying they don't know. They don't have a college plan, a trade school plan, or a job plan. It's just, I'm just going to go look for a job, and they're just going to the mall. So all this years of schooling and all this, again, learning the Pythagorean theorem, why did you stay in school till you were 18 if your only goal in life was just to go get a job, any job, anybody hiring? You'll be a server at a restaurant. You'll just work retail. Like, you don't have anything in mind of what you want to do. And there's no problem with being a server at a restaurant or working retail if in your mind you're thinking, okay, I'm learning this and I'm going to figure out how to open up my own. If you get out of high school and you learning retail, you need to go. If you're into retail, you need to go learn retail and figure out how you can open up your own boutique. We need to make sure that our kids, even if they don't choose college or choose a trade school and end up in a job where it's kind of unskilled labor, possibly minimum wage, what can I learn while I'm here that would allow me to still create my own business? And again, with the talent exodus, our promising individuals often leave the community. That is kind of what we've been taught. That's kind of what we've always done. It's our best kids do really well, go off to college and never return. And we have to start the return to start building and strengthening those communities so they can thrive as we keep going. So I am going to see you guys in the next video where we'll go over chapter 5.